Hello and welcome to a very special video. This is the first chapter of a project I thought about for a very long time. Ever since I was a child, I've been obsessed with the idea of the future. Growing up with science fiction stories, I imagined worlds where human beings could do the impossible. Both utopian and dystopian tales inspired me and made me cautious about what can be real through medicine, science, and technology. This channel was created on the idea of thinking about the future of humanity through a realistic and conscious perspective, looking at the world's problems and the ways we can use rationality and scientific ingenuity to solve them. Across the planet, many researchers, entrepreneurs, and thinkers are innovating and starting projects that will help us reach these goals. Today, I'm going to talk about 10 things that I believe will happen in the next century, based on current trends across science, technology, society, and medicine. I chose one trend for each period I want to focus on, 3 years from now, 5, 10, 15, and so on. I want to do this every year, mostly to see how accurate I was. I want these videos to remain on YouTube forever so future generations, decades from now, can judge as people living in 2021. Who knows, maybe I will vastly underestimate the future, but I guess we'll find out later. So get prepared for 10 future predictions from the year 2021. The COVID-19 pandemic was a worldwide tragedy that got out of control and caused serious problems across society. The world was not prepared for a virus breakout of this magnitude, but we managed to make it through with a combination of fast government responses and worldwide scientific and medical efforts that were never seen before. My first prediction for 3 years from now is an increase in worldwide pandemic prevention measures and consciousness as part of our daily lives. So what does this mean? As the world rushed to create a vaccine in less than a year, people implemented a number of practices aimed at reducing the spread of COVID. Social distancing, the use of masks, and the shutdown of businesses at the beginning of the pandemic were effective, but they were also controversial. The rise of conspiracy theories and anti-scientific rhetoric are the result of people being confused as they try to implement what they believe to be the best solutions for the pandemic we were never prepared for. 2021 was much better. A year into the pandemic, with the vaccines widely available, our understanding of both the virus and how we dealt with it was much better. We had an entire year to learn. 3 years from now, we will see a lot more measures, literature, and overall lessons that the COVID-19 left behind. To fight future pandemics, I believe that international organizations will be created to make sure this never happens again. Countries and influential people will reference COVID as an example for years whenever people think about a disease, a new virus that starts spreading. I hope people will take a lot of lessons from this event and we move forward as a society and as a species. Vertical farming is a fantastic new method to plant crops and revolutionize agriculture. I made an entire video about it months ago, and I believe that it is an awesome concept that, although imperfect today, has plenty of room to be innovated in the future. I predict that by 2026, more companies and markets will adopt vertical farming as an important food source. I don't think it will replace traditional farming yet, but it will have a significant increase into the mainstream. The world population is expected to be 8.26 billion by 2026. This means more people need to eat, but at the rate we are occupying land to plant crops, this could have serious effects on the environment. I think people will take notice of this and finance vertical farming, which can be then regrown as it will help bridge the gap between rural and urban areas. This will have positive effects on society. If you want to learn more about vertical farming, check out my video on it. I'll leave the links in the description. As advancements in artificial intelligence increase, so do the questions that we have to ask as humans about the way we are creating them. AI itself varies a lot. It can exist as abstract algorithms that help us enhance a selfie or plunge us closer into the dark dystopia.
That's pretty exciting.
But it can also take the form of a human-like being designed to bring companionship and mimic our species. This is something shown time and time again in science fiction stories, from the androids of Detroit Become Human and Bicentennial Man to the Siri or Alexa types shown in movies such as Her. People are waiting in anticipation for their own perfect, agreeable laborers or companions. My third prediction is one that will upset some people, but by 2031, I think that people will start taking artificial beings as serious companions and even romantic partners. There is a term called the uncanny valley. In short, it is used to describe the creepiness of an object that resembles a human being or one of its features. An example is on CGI characters. There is a point where a realistic cartoon becomes creepy before it hits realistic territory again. This can be applied in AI androids and voices. Will we reach a point where natural language processing will stop sounding like a stereotypical robot and become like Samantha from Her? Or where robotic androids look and act realistic enough to the point where we can't tell the difference between them and an organic being? It seems to be we're headed that way. The implications of androids deserve an entire video series of their own. Today, people seem open to the idea of dating them. This realism will evoke an emotional response from people. You can bet that it will also reach romantic and sexual levels. There are a lot of strange ethical questions coming our way, especially considering people will be able to design their own perfect humans. This idea seems insane today, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how it turns out 10 years from now. Gasoline is a thing of the past, with almost every major car manufacturer having plans for electric car production and the pressure of climate change looming over us. The change to electric will happen gradually over the next 10 years. My fourth prediction is that by 2036, the last gasoline car ever will be produced. Obviously, this will have its own share of challenges. The oil industry is a behemoth that has a lot of economic and political power today. However, I am optimistic that two things will happen. One, green alternatives will get cheaper. This is a complicated topic I will discuss later, but through a mix of innovation, investing, and pressure for governments and society, better options for electric cars and other vehicles will emerge during the next decade. And two, the oil industry will suffer dramatic changes. Unlike electricity, oil is a finite resource. There will come a time where fossil fuels will run out, and this will be very soon. Some estimates say that it could be in the next 50 years at the rate we are going. This is obviously a very bad thing, as most of how we run our modern society today depends on fossil fuels. This is why I think that electric and self-driving vehicles will dominate the market by the 2030s, becoming the standard and making gasoline cars look like a ridiculous relic of the past. In his book, The God Equation, Kaku describes the way scientists are racing to find a solution to physics' greatest mystery, the theory of everything, aka the unified theory of physics, which is a theoretical framework that unifies the two main areas of physics, which are Einstein's general relativity theory and quantum theory. Kaku describes it as science's crowning achievement, the holy grail of physics, and justifies it over the course of the book while explaining the history of physics' latest discoveries leading to the search of that theory. In the book, Kaku is vague describing when he thinks this theory will be made. I estimate it will happen in 2041. Scientists at CERN are planning the construction of the Future Circular Collider, a successor of the Large Hadron Collider, which will be on a much larger scale and is expected to be completed by 2040. I am optimistic that this creation will bring about many great discoveries. There are several paths that scientists are taking to piece together physics discoveries in both fields, such as M-theory, which is a part of string theory and the Standard Model, which Kaku refers to as a warm-up act for the final theory, which is yet to come. This discovery is exciting because it will revolutionize physics as we know it. It will lead to incredible technological advances in every field. Who knows the doors it will open? Maybe it will lead to the discovery of clean energies that will help combat climate change and produce prosperity for the whole world. As our world becomes increasingly more digital, things like money are starting to follow. The majority of the money exchange today exists as data and computer systems, and in the future there might be incentives to stop paying with physical cash altogether. By 2046, there will be a significant decrease in the use of paper money and coins. In 2020, in the United States, more than 14 billion coins were minted, spending unnecessary resources on something that will become irrelevant in a world where credit cards and digital forms of payment are becoming more available and efficient. I say significant decrease because I think physical money will still be used, but will be discouraged with the use, as people find digital payments more convenient. I don't know how the economic implications will change once the entire system of cash is digitalized. Payment with cryptocurrency might become more accepted once prices are stabilized, and people see it as a viable system of payment instead of a volatile asset. In April of 2020, the United States signed an executive order to authorize the extraction of space resources and moon mining. The article describes that the order looks to produce agreements with other nations related to the use and scientific basis for the collection of resources from space. With time, we could extract a large number of resources from asteroids, the moon, and Mars. I think it is wonderful that people are beginning to talk about this in a serious way. I think that by 2051, we will start doing this, giving rise to a new era of industrialization. Getting resources such as fuel and metal from space is important because we are reaching a point where the Earth is starting to become scarcer with resources. We can't expect the Earth to provide for us forever, so this reality might incentivize businesses and governments to look to the stars as our next stop. The technology will probably look like mining drones, which use minimal fuel as technology and innovation in the robotics field advances. This would be awesome because as the sun and wind provide free, unlimited power, space would provide countless material resources, where we don't have to worry about draining natural deposits. The idea that one day we will be able to cure any disease is something people have imagined for centuries. It might seem too optimistic to think that one way we will get there, but with all the advancements in medical science, we might do just that. I think that by the 2070s, diseases such as HPV and HIV will become completely eradicated. By eradicated, I mean wiped completely from the face of the Earth. This obviously implies that that cure will be discovered for these viruses. Today, these diseases do not have a cure. However, cases like a woman in Argentina getting rid of HIV in her body this year provide an impressive and optimistic hope that one day we will reach a point where it will all be discovered. Medical advancements have a steady increase in quality as our worldwide systems become more unified. Efforts in the field of medicine will produce better results. For HIV and AIDS, I think a cure will be found around the 2050s to 2060s, which is worldwide implementation taking place over the course of years or even decades. Historically, HIV has primarily impacted developing countries in Africa. I also believe that over the next half century, these countries will grow exponentially as industrialization, education, medicine, and technology become more available. This is the prediction I have the most hope for, as I would love to live in a world where we have better understanding of existing diseases in order to eradicate them, as well as having the knowledge to defeat future ones that haven't been discovered yet. Mars is the next frontier of humanity. There is no doubt about that, as companies, governments, and science lovers take seriously the possibility of turning the red planet into our next home. A lot of questions rise, though. My ninth prediction is not about when are we landing on Mars, or even when we set up the first city, but when we are actively starting the process of terraforming it. My next prediction takes a larger leap, to 100 years from now. In the year 2121, the people of Mars, with the help of Earth's planetary government, are working together to make the planet livable, with an atmosphere equal to Earth's and the possibility to sustain life. This is going to be hard, at least by today's concept of what is possible. Mars is cold, dangerous, and devoid of anything but metal, resources, and dirt. There is no life, and if something goes wrong in the process, it can lead to catastrophic events that set countless hours of progress back. This planet is also extreme with its weather, environment, and atmosphere. Even if we assume no horrible setbacks happen, it will take a long time to do so. So how on Mars is this going to be possible? Well, as the decades pass, so does the technology and tools used to create progress. Over the course of humanity's history, these advancements have been exponential. I will go into the details in future videos, but through a mix of artificial intelligence, transhumanist practices, and new ideas and systems of values and social interactions, we will be capable of much more than what is possible today. Maybe I'm letting my optimism run free with this prediction, but it is also tied with the idea we all have that someday we will reach a future where everyone cooperates to do the impossible, where the only problems left to solve are those that help us reach the stars or understand the nature of the universe. So I think it will happen. People have thought of the possibility of terraforming Mars or even Venus for a long time. But realistically, I think it will happen 100 years from now, not even mentioning the fact that we have to get there first. So who knows, only time will tell. Immortality is defined as the inability for someone to die of natural causes. This is something that could be accomplished in a far future where people have mastered technology and medicine, to the point where our lifespans are extended beyond hundreds of years to an indefinite state. This is different from immortality, which implies you can't die anyway no matter how bad you get hurt or what happens to your body. My next prediction takes 200 years from now, where human beings have finally cracked the code that leads us to beat aging and become young and healthy forever. This might sound like science fiction, but there is still a lot we have to learn about our genetic structure and the biological concept of aging itself. The ability for humans to improve themselves and influence their biology is called transhumanism, and I made a video about it this year. Advancements in gene editing are already being considered as a serious possibility. Ever since scientists such as Jennifer Doudna discovered CRISPR-Cas9, a tool that allows us to edit genes, people have wrestled with the ethical and philosophical implications of this discovery. Is it possible to find a way to increase our lifespans genetically into the hundreds of years, the same way tortoises live that long? What about the methods that rejuvenate or reverse aging altogether? Is this possible? Dr. David Sinclair thinks it might be. In his book Lifespan, he describes aging as a loss of information between cell division. With the technology and methods of tomorrow, could we crack the code and reach eternal life? Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching this video. I had a great experience researching all these topics and writing about them. The truth is that it makes me really excited to think about the future and a new cycle where we are exposed to constant negativity and just panic and just bad news about everything that might happen in the future. I think it's important to be optimistic sometimes. Which brings me to these predictions that use technology in a realistic and pragmatic way, and also with a little bit of room to imagine the possibilities of what would happen like 100 years from now, 200 years from now, all that stuff. So I really liked making this, and I'll actually make a video each year, just 10 predictions so I can look back and, I don't know, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. It would be really cool to just like compare what's happening in those times with these YouTube videos, which I think will remain forever, hopefully. So that will be awesome, and I'm really enjoying this project. So thank you so much for watching again. If you like this video, please comment some predictions you would like to see in a future one for next year. Some comments, some things, like if you want to tell me that I'm completely wrong, it's okay, do that. We all need constructive criticism and things to analyze for the future. I think it's important to think about these topics, and I guess that would be pretty much everything for today. Thank you for watching the first installment of 10 future predictions, and that's everything. So I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a great week.